Hey gamers, Rick here with Game Trade Media at GAMA Trade Show in Reno, Nevada. I'm here with Sarah from Renegade Game Studios to talk about some new stuff you guys got are coming out like soon, around the corner, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is actually a roll and write theme video.
Okay, perfect.
And these are both coming out, like you said, very soon. Hex Roller is coming out in April. And this is, like I already said, a roll and write. And it's a very classic traditional German roll and write.
Oh, okay.
And what I mean by that is that it is an abstract game where you are going to roll all of these dice.
Okay.
And we're just going to organize these by different types. So we'll have, let's say, all the sixes together. One thing to note is that the colors do not mean anything. It specifically says that in the rule book, which we find kind of hilarious.
Okay.
But you'll just organize them by different type of number.
Okay.
And then you're going to take whatever two numbers you wish to take. So let's say I take maybe the 8s and the 6s. And then I'm just going to write on my board, maybe I write an 8 and an 8, and then over here I would write a 6 and maybe another 6 over here, because they have to be touching a number that's already on the board that's of the same type. So I had 2 8s and 2 6s, so I write those in there, and then I also need to record that I took those two numbers on this track down here. So I'm going to write 8 and 6, and then that's everything that happens during a turn. And every player that's playing with you will do that at the same time. So this is great. You can play with as many players as you want. It doesn't take any more time.
Sure.
That makes this really easy for big group plays.
So if you take 8 and 6, and I'm also playing the same game with you, because this can play up to many people. I could also have taken 8 and 6.
You totally could have done that.
Cool.
So theoretically, we could end up with the same board, but it's sort of like two monkeys just smashing on a keyboard. It's probably not going to happen.
Right.
Because there's a lot of different things that you're trying to do in this game. For example, at the end of the game, you're going to look at every one of these different colored sections on the board. And you're going to see if it's full, what is the most prominent number in that section. So let's say I added another couple 6s here later on in another round, and maybe 1 3. Well, I have more 6s than anything else, and it's full. So then I would get 6 points for this purple area of the board. I go through each one of the different areas, and I add those up, see what I get, put that number here. For the orange area in the middle of the board, that one is doubled because it's a little bit harder. So if I get this filled up, whatever number is most prominent, I get double points for that on this side of the board. And then also, I'm trying to connect to numbers of the same type that were printed on the board. So an 8 here is going to be difficult to connect to the 8 over here. But if I'm able to do that, then I get 8 points. Obviously, all of these numbers are across from each other, so you can't do all of them. So you want to be a little strategic of how you do that.
Okay.
The last way that you score is at the end of the game, you're going to have several numbers written on both of these tracks here, which represent the numbers that you took during the game. And you're trying to make a run, sort of like you would in poker or something like that, but they always have to start with 3. So if you can go 3, 4, 5, you would get 5 points because 5 was the highest number that you got to.
Okay.
If you make it all the way to 8, you get 8 points. You look at both of these tracks and see which one of those, how many numbers you got. If you don't have a 3, you're going to get 0 points for that. So you do have to have some 3s on the board, even though in the other ways that you score, 3s don't make you a lot of points.
Sure.
So that's really interesting. And then you also have another couple bonus things you can do here that add some interest to the game as well, like adding a 2. So maybe I was able to put these 6s here on another turn, but I really just want to finish this off and there's no other number that would work for me. I can just do a 2 there, and it's not going to count against my other numbers. It can go wherever it wants. It's just an easy hole to fill.
Nice.
Yeah, and there's also a whole pad of paper here. They're double-sided, and the other side of the pad is a different board that's actually bigger, and you play more turns. The game's going to end when every player has filled out that number of rounds, depending on which side you're playing on.
Nice.
So it's relatively simple as far as the rules go, but when you're actually playing, deciding which dice to take, where to put them on your board, there's a lot of good decisions there.
Nice. So if you were playing this and you wanted to keep it in a certain amount of time, how long would you give your players? All right, you have 30 seconds.
Of course, if you're playing with a lot of people, you could have some amount of analysis paralysis because there are a lot of decisions here. I would say that most of the time you can make the decisions pretty fast, maybe in less than a minute for sure.
Cool. Very
So
nice.
the game goes pretty quickly. You only play either 6 or 7 rounds. So if somebody's taking a little bit longer, you're still going to finish the game in 20 minutes, half an hour.
Right. And that's awesome.
Yeah, and then you can play again.
I like the idea of that. And literally it's a 2 to infinite.
Yeah, you can even play the solo actually and just try and beat your previous score.
Okay, cool.
So lots of good options, really beautiful, great dice, all that good stuff. It feels like a really classic roll and write.
And when does this actually hit the retail shelves?
They'll be out in April, so it's really good to place your orders right now because I know we didn't have a lot of time between really announcing the game and telling you all about it because we're doing that here at the show, and it's coming out so soon, so please place your pre-orders now.
Absolutely. And any big special things going on with this?
It's one of our April releases, and that'll be great because we have a whole bunch of restocks coming in April, so it's a good time, a good reminder to place those reorders.
Get your Renegade on.
Yeah, definitely. We've got Architects of the West Kingdom coming back in stock, Fox in the Forest coming back in stock, so you can make a big order all at once and put that together.
Perfect. And then you brought another roll and write.
Yeah, so Lanterns Dice is a roll and write version of Lanterns, and Lanterns is one of those games that we've had in our catalog since almost the very beginning of Renegade, and it's just been a steady, wonderful evergreen seller for us the whole time.
Okay.
And this is really just a roll and write that's infused with the Lanterns feel.
Okay.
So in regular Lanterns, you're going to be playing a tile on the board, and each side of that tile has a color, and when you play it, everybody around the table is going to get the color that points towards them. So you're never sitting around waiting for your turn to happen. Similarly, in Lanterns Dice, you're going to roll the dice into this tray, and then you turn it depending on which color of resource you want to get that turn. So it's very similar to the way that Lanterns works, which is a great, unique mechanic. So let's say, of course, I want blue because Renegade. And so I would point the blue towards me and red towards you. If we were playing with 2 other people, they would get the blue and the yellow as well. And then we're going to write these colors down by marking them off on our board here. So if I had gotten blue, I maybe am going to mark off this triangle within this pond here in the middle. And that means that I actually get some other bonuses and things because I was next to this gift. But the main goal is to be shading in areas here so that I can make these wonderful shapes. So if I had shaded in all of the areas on the board matching this shape, then I could put that there, and then I get 6 points.
Wow. Okay.
Similar to original Lanterns as well, the next person who does that same action is able to fill in that same shape now only gets 5 points. So you're going to want to pay attention to what tiles are available to try and decide what shapes you're going to make. And maybe you had, for example, this shape already. Well, you might wait because this is worth 6 points and that's only worth 4, but maybe somebody else has taken a couple of these tiles and now they're both worth 4. You would go for the simpler one faster.
Sure.
So lots of good decision making there. There's also some cool things on the board you'll notice. So one of the first things is when I mark next to one of these pavilions, I get to mark that I have a gift. And when I want to spend those gifts, I get a special bonus action depending on how many I spend.
Sure.
So, for example, if I only spend 1 gift, I could mark that off, and I would get to do this action, which is shade 1 additional matching your die. Since I took a blue die, I could shade out 1 more space on the board that's also blue.
Okay.
The more of these you spend at one time, the better those actions become, up to doing things like you get to shade all 3 of the dice that you didn't take.
Wow.
Really good actions. So that's a little bonus, makes it a little bit easier to shade what you want. Also, there are the platforms here. There's squares on the board. If you shade both of the triangles next to that platform, then you get 1 additional shade in one of the spaces adjacent to that.
Nice.
There's also boats on here, which are kind of little triangle pieces. If you shade out all of the pawns, which are these squares next to the boat, then you get 4 points at the end of the game.
Nice.
So there's a lot of different scoring stuff going on. You also play with different shapes each round. You can see there's a huge pile of different different shapes. We're only going to play with a couple of each game.
Okay.
So that makes every game a little bit different, including also these can be flipped over to now play on the B side or any combination of that. And these are different actions that you can use for your gifts.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Lots of fun stuff.
And when
in
does
there.
this come out?
So this is actually a little bit special. If your friendly local game store is part of our early release program, they're going to get this in May, which is 2 full weeks before the release that will happen in June for this game. And you also are going to get some special fireworks tiles if you pick that up at a friendly local game store that's participating in that program.
Cool.
So make sure if you haven't pre-ordered this from your local game store yet, or if you're a store and you haven't pre-ordered it from Alliance yet, please go and do that. We're really excited about this new early release program, and we want to get as much fun new stuff out to people as we can.
Very cool. And what's the price on both of these?
Oh, it's great. So Hex Roller is just a $20 game.
Okay.
Super easy to pick up. Lots of great stuff in there. And Lanterns Dice is just $25, which is
Cool.
actually a bit cheaper than original Lanterns because Lanterns had all those tiles and all sorts of extra stuff in there. It's only a $25 game, which is a great price.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And these are great gifts.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We're a little bit past the holidays already, but I know there's lots of
There's
birthdays
lots of
coming
other
up.
things coming up. Yeah.
Definitely.
So,
yeah. So maybe think about that as a quick, easy party gift, something that you can put on the table, play it right away, play with lots and lots of people, play with your close family. Both of these are incredibly easy to teach and just ready to get on the table right
I
away.
love it. Thank you so much,
Awesome.
Sarah, for coming and showing us this. Now, where
Thank
can
you.
anybody go to find out all the cool stuff that you guys are doing?
RenegadeGames.com is one of the best places, but if you're on social media, at Play Renegade on Twitter, Play RGS on Facebook, or follow us on Instagram. We have lots of beautiful pictures up there at Renegade_Games_Studios.
Nice.
Yeah.
And you guys have had lots of announcements here at GAMA this whole week, like a lot of announcements. So if you missed any of those, you're going to hear a lot of really cool stuff that they've announced this week on those platforms. So go check them out. I'm Rick here from Game Trade Media, and I hope to see you at the game store.
Thank